Yo, what up? What you guys saying? Um, so I wanna make a video about this. This is this is stuff that I don't like to get involved in. Like I try to stay away from like politics and stuff like that. I don't really consume a lot of my time in the politics and you know Democrats, liberals, presidency, all that. But one thing that I did say is that you should be aware of it, conscious of it. You know, educated on the subject and address it and then move on, basically. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to consume yourself into politics or argue with people about politics and stuff like that, because that can cause division, right? And that's what the devil wants. He wants to divide us through religion and through different parties and different sides and stuff like that, basically turn us against each other and us miss the complete point, you know of what's really going on. So uh, Kamala Kamala Harris, as you guys know, uh, she's basically she's going for to be a president. She's trying to, you know what I mean. She's trying to become a president. You know what I mean. So I don't know the proper terminology to use for that, but because I don't focus on that type of stuff. I'm aware. I make sure I pay attention and I can see what is happening. So this is my view and opinion on Kamala Harris, and I did some research on her. I even wrote some notes down because I really wanted to make sure that I'm not misjudging the situation or her in general. You know what I mean? I genuinely want to find the truth in all things. You know what I mean? So that's why I make videos. That's why I talk about certain subjects. But one thing that I have mentioned is I don't like to uh, report and talk about certain politics and stuff like that. But when it comes down to the new world order and a one world government, you know uh, you know which is a satanic movement to gain full control over the world, because it's easy for one country to just you know lock down and be like, we're in full control, you have no more freedom, da 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 da, like, martial law, stuff like that. That can happen, but that's not going to necessarily happen in Canada just because that's happening in the States. But if there was a one world government, it would be one ruling over the entire every country, and that's not good, because then that ruling, if they decide to shut things down or go corrupt, uh, which is the exact agenda that is supposed to be getting played out through the New World Order and one world government. That's the intent behind that, whether you understand that or not. They try to use our safety, security, things like that to get us to play into these things, because they mix truth with lies to basically seem like they're within our best interest to gain, our vote or our support in that movement. You know what I mean? But in the end of the day, I gotta be real. So I wrote a couple things down that I want you guys to take in. Like, think about this, right? I watched a bunch of her videos. I wanted to see who she was before, what her character represents, and she was saying a lot of things that I agreed with. Now you gotta be careful. Just because somebody is finessing you with everything that seems perfectly logical and wow, this must be a great person, wow, she's fighting for the right things, wow, she's a woman that's going to be empowering for other women because she's going uh, for a presidency, right? So anybody now to go against the idea of her becoming a president or what she represents, um, women as a whole will feel almost affected or like insulted by that, because they want to see their kind prosper and a woman to become president. And I'm not saying I have anything against that, but I want you guys to know that anybody that is going to get in the presidency You have to understand that you're not going to get into that unless you're going to follow through and fill out that agenda. Yeah, Illuminati is real. New World Order is real. One world government is all connected to those things. Okay? And this is the agenda. So you will never, ever become a president, ever, unless you're a pawn to follow through and fill out the New World Order, one world government, full control. But evil comes in an innocent form, and it's going to befriend you. It's going to tell you everything you want to hear. You're going to get so excited. You're going to get so pumped. Finally, a female president. Finally, a black president. You know what I mean? You guys got to understand, this is all rigged. The votes. You're never going to get in a position to be a president unless you're going to push the satanic movement. Okay? It's never going to happen. So don't get your hopes up. Don't fool yourself thinking, oh yeah, finally a female president. She's saying all the right things. Even me. Even at the beginning for me, when I was watching her videos, I even got finessed for a sec. I was like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a minute. So you know what I did? I took a couple of her videos and I cut certain pieces out to things that she was saying versus her character and who she is. She was a prosecutor, okay? One thing that struck me, she said everything that you would want to hear at the beginning, even won me over a little bit. But I know better not to get too caught up, because I know how the devil moves, and nobody's ever going to get into the presidency unless they're going to be following out a satanic movement, the New World Order, one world government, okay, the elite's agenda. It's never going to happen, so don't ever fool yourself, okay? But what I want to say is, this is what they do to gain the likeness of the people and the masses. So I wrote this down so you can see who I'm talking about. United States Senator Kamala Harris. Kamala Devi Harris is an American attorney and politician serving as the junior United States Senator for California since 2017, a member of the Democrat Party. She previously served as the 32nd Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017, as a district attorney of San Francisco from 2004 to 2011. Born October 20th, 1964, age 54. So listen, this is what I wrote down. Think about this. Take this in, okay? I'm not knocking women. I'm not saying that a woman can't have a chance at being president. I'm not against that. I'm not against the empowerment of women. None of that. I'm all for that. But you just have to understand that this is, okay, I wrote it down, okay? Gain the likeness of the people and the masses, and gain control over the people and the masses. What happened to the real presidents that were truly for the people? Do you remember what happened to them? JFK was one of them. He was assassinated. That's what happens when you make presidency and you don't bow down to the agenda. You don't fulfill the one world government, New World Order, satanic movement. If you're not pushing that, people tend to get assassinated. If you know anything about history and the pattern of it, pay attention. Anyways, what does the enemy do before they betray you? Think about this. What does the enemy do before they betray you? They befriend you. Think about it. You're gonna get finessed. Okay, they're gonna say everything that is morally correct, and you're gonna agree because you're a human being. And they use this. The devil uses this to pry into the likeness, to befriend you to gain your vote, to gain your support, in order to get into a position of power. And then once they get into that position of power, things change, and the people feel betrayed. But then they just say, oh well, we'll just wait for the next president. We only got 10 more years, and it's the same cycle over and over again. But listen, evil comes in innocent form. Okay, it's gonna tell you everything you want to hear. Okay. Okay, so this is one thing that I caught her say, that I knew that she was not for the people, and she was to continue to push this new world order and this agenda of control, okay, over complete control. Just one more step, one more step, one more step. It has to be eased in slowly. That's how people can adjust and accept certain realities. So one thing she said was, she is going to start prosecuting parents for truancy, for not schooling their children. So if you do not put your child in school, you will be charged with truancy with the full effect of the law now. And that is what she said in a video that I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to add it to this. And she was a prosecutor, okay? She claims to be for this percentage of criminals and for a second chance. You know, you would think, wow, what a humble person, what a great person, you know what I mean? You would think, finally, somebody that's for the people, and it's a woman that's going to make all the women vote. They're not even going to think, they're not even going to research, they're not even going to give a fuck if she's crooked or not. They're just going to say, yeah, woman for president. Same thing with Obama. He was a fraud too. But, you know what I mean? Everyone got mad. Even me. I was like I'm thinking Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking shit like that when I'm seeing this. And so does everybody else. And we found out he was just a fucking puppet too. He was a pawn because he didn't fulfill what he said what he promised anyways. He did the opposite. He did a lot of shit. But people will just like him because, you know why? Because he was a black president, and that alone is a big deal. And that, you know, especially after the oppression and suppression that blacks went through. You know, I grew up off listening to Tupac and studying the Black Panther Party, you know, freedom, you know, fighting against corruption, you know, against the corrupt system, you know, for the people, you know what I mean? Power to the people, you know what I mean? So that was a low blow, you know what I mean, for not just blacks, like not just, you know, not just black people, even for that, you know, that hit me in the chest, where I was really disappointed with that, but I learned from that. So take this in. This is the truth, okay? The only one worthy of leading this world now or ever is Jesus Christ, okay? He is the only true king, the only true one worthy of leading this world, okay? The only true righteous king, okay? Out of all kings. King of all kings. And that's the truth, okay? Now listen. Okay, so we're trying to get away from the system because we've realized we have signed up for something. We signed up for something that we didn't sign up for, basically. You know, we realized that the system has entrapped us and used what we're passionate about to befriend us, to betray us, okay? And that's what the system has always done. That's what America has always done, okay? That's what any system has always done. Every system is built on a foundation of corruption, okay? As soon as you know that, you're going to see the play, and you're not going to play along anymore. So what does that mean? Homeschooling your kids. Stop drinking the tap water. Like, growing your own food. Not eating the food that they're giving us with hormones, chemicals, things that are giving us disease, cancer, killing us slowly, okay? Everything the system said was good for us, 10, 20 years later, we found out it was the exact thing that destroyed us, you know? And by the time you figure it out, it's too late. So listen, she is also pushing for division because she's trying to entrap us into the system and say, you don't have control over your kids. whether it's a conscious decision to say, you know what, the way that the state of the world that it's in now, I can see the play. I don't want to put my kids in that world. You know, they would be better off being homeschooled. That's a decision any parent should be allowed to make. Period. She's saying that she's going to force parents to put their kids in school, and if they don't, they will be prosecuted to the fullest degree of the law, and they will be charged with truancy. And she said that right on the video. I'll show it to you. So there's division, division, okay, and then claim to bring us all together under the new world under the new world order, under the one world government. So we're gonna get so sick of division. Donald Trump with the wall, dividing. We know it's not right. We need to come together and unite and go against this system, right? So we're gonna get so sick of division. That's what they're trying to do, but in a nice way with a smile on their face. And then we're gonna be so happy to take the one world government, because we're gonna see so much division. And this is the cure. This is the answer, is to bring us all together under one government. But little do you know that this will give full control under one party. So when they decide to shut shit down, it's the whole fucking world. It's not just one country. It's not just a couple of states. It's the whole the whole world as a whole. Every country. That's why certain countries know what the states is doing in the new world order than one world government, and they want to be that one world government. Russia ain't having it. Germany ain't having it. China ain't having it. They're like, fuck you. We see what you guys are trying to do, and you think we're gonna allow you to fucking put us under your one world government so you can control us? We're gonna hit the big red button, bro. That's why there's this back and forth. But they try to do it nice. Okay, they push back a little bit, and they say, my bad. It's a game. But if you give them that, you're fucking done. That's their foot on your fucking throat. It's over. You can never let them do that, but it's gonna happen because it's all in the gospel. The Bible even predicted these things. It has to come, but we have to be prepared. So yeah, division, and then claim to bring us all together under a one world government. So it's like music to our ears, and we're gonna go right for it. Well, not me, not my people, but and then once that's implemented, then comes the chip. You're under a one world system in government, so you have to abide by that, or you will be imprisoned, and you will be considered a terrorist if you don't follow along with this process. And a part of that process is getting the chip. You will not be able to trade, buy, or sell without that chip, and it says it right in the Bible. Anyways, right, saying that it's for our own good and our best interest. That's how they win us over. Control. Right, so those are the things that I wrote down. But I just wanted to say, listen. Kamala Harris, if I said that right, it's just like any other. This is a game, okay? It's gonna create more division. How did I figure that out? I analyzed hours of her videos, took a couple pieces, used my sense and logic, looked at history, made a calculated, prediction. Like, it's pretty easy once you're conscious. But I had to analyze it because she came off like she was for the people and she had good intent. But that's how it always starts. That's how it always is. What haven't we learned? It's just another step forward to enforce division, entrapment, taking away rights, and forcing us to be a part of a system we know has betrayed us, And by the time we figure it out, we've already signed up for it. We're enslaved to it. And if we go against it, you pretty much become a slave, but knowingly. We're already, it's getting real. The government shut down, right? I said these things were going to happen 10 years ago because I read it in the Bible. people said I was crazy. Now it's happening, but they don't want to acknowledge me now, right? I'm going to get these videos and put them on here for you guys to watch. Now think about what I said, and now watch these videos. Cory Resilient, hit the thumbs up for me. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. Hit the notification so you can see when I upload. And most of all, share this video and tag as many people in it as you can, so we're prepared for this before it takes place, before people give into it thinking that she's this amazing person that is for the people and for the unspoken for, is the way she tried to claim it. But then I did my research, a lot of it, and I seen the play. It took a while. I was even impressed at the beginning, but I know better not to do that, because we've all been deceived before. But I'm starting to see the pattern. No individual will ever get into office unless they are part of the Satanic Cult, a part of the elite agenda. Okay? Even if they know it or not. She might not even, you know what, everybody has hidden intent, you know, so it's not for the people. If it was, we wouldn't even be in the condition we're in as a whole, as a planet, as a world, okay? Bro, no. It's real spit. Alright, so check this out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, feel free to express your opinions, you know, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Watch this.
So I decided I wanted to be a lawyer at a very young age. I went to Howard University, and then I came back home to San Francisco and attended UC Hastings. And out of law school, I made the decision to become a prosecutor. And you can imagine, if you have any sense of who my family is, that was a curious decision.
Exactly.
In some ways, I had to defend the decision like one would a thesis. But what I said then is what I absolutely maintain today after a career as a prosecutor, which is that law enforcement has such a profound and direct impact on the most vulnerable among us, and has as its responsibility, as its job, to be a voice for the voiceless. And in the process of giving voice, also give dignity. And so that's the work that I decided I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I have prosecuted many cases. From the ground up, I've been in many courtrooms talking with juries about why in a civil and just society there will be severe and swift consequences when one human being kills another human being, or if a woman is raped or a child is molested, and talking about why that work is important if we are going to be committed to justice, which is the work of defending and being a voice for our most vulnerable.
Great. So again, you're running for a really important position.
Yes.
In our state. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you think are California's biggest challenges and biggest opportunities right now?
Sure. The general point that I'd make about our challenges is that I think for too long, we in government and in public offices have not embraced what you have embraced, which is the importance of innovation. You know, if you look at any elected who's up for re-election, they will not take a political knock for doing things the way they've always been done. Good for you, Bob, you're doing things the way they've always been done. To engage in innovation in a position such as mine means to engage in what you all do, which is, by definition, to bring to bear some new idea or method or device. Well, what we all know about that process is that when one is engaged in innovation, no matter how well thought out, well planned, well conceived your idea may be, when you roll it out for the first time, there will probably be a glitch. But when you hold a position such as mine, you will read about that glitch on the front page of the newspaper. Which means that when you hold these positions, there is a great assumption of risk to take on innovation. And unless you have the courage, combined hopefully with some political capital, there are seemingly few rewards for engaging in innovation, which is really unfortunate. My mother was a scientist. There is this wonderful word that has a great meaning, and it's called hypothesis, which means that you have an idea, and then it is well accepted, it will be tested, and then you will learn whether it was correct or not, but there will be no pride associated with the hypothesis, because after all, it was a hypothesis.
Right.
And then you will reconvene and then create a new hypothesis.
Right. Right.
But in government
to call
and
it
in law
iteration at
enforcement,
Google.
right, exactly, right.
That's how we operate.
But in government, you know, when you have that idea, you better stick with it and defend it at all cost. And there is also part of the culture that suggests that you are doing a good job if you are strictly adhering to tradition, as opposed to measuring effectiveness with the infusion of metrics to look at whether we are actually producing what we all have a desire will be produced. Right. So if I can just keep going
yeah,
with
no,
this.
please, no, great.
An example of what I am talking about in practice is in California on an annual basis, we release 120,000 prisoners because they have served their time. Within 3 years of their release, 70% reoffend. The word for that is recidivism, 70% recidivate. It's the highest recidivism rate in the country. So I think what is obvious about this is that anything with a 7 out of 10 failure rate is demanding some reconfiguration. But the other point is that it is extremely expensive, this failure, in terms of what it is costing us in a state that is on the verge of bankruptcy. It's a $10 billion slice in the annual budget. It is also extremely expensive in terms of what it is costing our public safety. So knowing that, I decided to create a reentry unit in my office, which is one of the only reentry units of a DA's office, and decided to focus on the 18 through 24-year-old, first-time, low-level, nonviolent drug sales offender. Called it the initiative Back on Track. Why that population? Well, when I was at Howard University, when we were all in college, we were 18 through 24, and we were called college kids. But when you're 18 and you turn 18 and you're in the system, you are considered an adult, period. Regardless of the fact that that is the very phase of life in which we have invested billions of dollars in this world in those places called colleges and universities, knowing that is the prime phase of life during which we mold and shape and direct a human being to become a productive adult. Right. So what I did is I called up a bunch of friends in the business community, the Chamber of Commerce. I called up other folks in the building trades unions and called up some of our faith-based and community nonprofits. And we addressed the fact that in this population, which is a very large population in the criminal justice system, a lot of them needed to get a GED and be enrolled in City College. Almost none of them have employable skills, so we enrolled them in the apprenticeship programs offered by the carpenters and the plumbers. And David, I'm going to ask you if you can create an apprenticeship program from there too. Right. We dealt with the fact that they also, many of them are parents who have a natural desire to parent their children, but not necessarily the skills. So we brought on board community-based folks to work on that. Over the course of the last 5 years, this initiative, Back on Track, has reduced the reoffense rate for this population from 54% to less than 10%. It's been so successful that the National DA's Association and the United States Department of Justice have designated it as a model of innovation for law enforcement in the United States. But there are risks associated with that. Sure. I will tell you, it was on the front page of a newspaper when one of the offenders, a couple of years into the program, went out and committed a horrendous crime. And he happened to also be an undocumented immigrant. And so then someone wrote an article and said, Kamala Harris has created a program to shield undocumented immigrants. Right. Right? These are the risks one assumes when they do something differently in government. Right. But I think that we are at a place in time, and especially in this great state, where we cannot afford to do business the way it has been done. We cannot afford to maintain status quo because we are really looking at a lot of broken systems. And this is where the culture of Google and the work that you all do is so very important and has to be shared with a much bigger audience, and in particular with people who hold offices like mine.
Well, add Kamala Harris to the cozy list of Democrats eager to unseat President Trump. On paper, the California senator looks unstoppable. Former San Francisco district attorney and California attorney general. She won a tough and crowded Senate race, and now she's putting on some rosy glasses to rewrite her past as a progressive prosecutor. Here's the thing about paper. It's great for making origami, but it's very flammable and doesn't hold water. Once her opponents dig into her past just a little, her candidacy will go down in flames. Kamala Harris, DA, saw felony conviction rates soar from 52% to 67%, and drug convictions went up to 74%. Until last year, she scoffed at legalizing marijuana, so she was basically Jeff Sessions in a dress. Of course, she inked her false narrative in a new book, The Truths We Hold, which should be called The Hypocrisy We Practice. She writes, quote, "The job of progressive prosecutor is to look out for the overlooked." Unless, of course, one of the overlooked happens to be someone on death row, as she appealed a federal judge's ruling the death penalty was unconstitutional. She didn't want to send those convicts to the gas chamber. She felt she owed it to them. Harris continues. Her job is to speak up for those voices who aren't being heard and to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. As Loyola Law School professor Laura Bazelon writes in the New York Times, Kamala Harris kept one man in prison on a 70-year sentence. He's still serving that despite exculpatory evidence and a legal technicality when George Gage was representing himself. Or Daniel Larson, who had an incompetent attorney. He was sentenced to 28 years to life for gun possession. Or the 600 defendants who had to have their cases thrown out when a dirty police technician, whom Harris and her team knew about, was tainting evidence and stealing drugs. Harris not only didn't disclose the corruption to defense attorneys, she appealed the tossed cases. Kamala Harris's troubled road leads right to injustice. The question is whether or not her fellow Democrats will be brave and honest enough to uncover her problematic past, or if identity politics and political correctness will prevent them from revealing the truth. And that's the memo.